This video tutorial goes along with the handouts, HTML Basics Part 1, 2, and 3. Now what you're going to need to do in Notepad++, it's a great editor, and I recommend that you use that. You can use Notepad, but it's not very good, and it also can mess things up and make things a bit more difficult, especially when you start editing large chunks. So there's a few cool things that I'm going to cover in Notepad++ here that won't have, you might have seen in the tutorial and wondered what those things are, but in the video I'll just cover it a little bit more. So the first thing we're going to do is declare what type of document this is. So it's open chevron. These things here are chevrons: open chevron, close chevron, exclamation mark, doc type, and then HTML lowercase. Now this here is you need to get used to syntax. So almost everything in HTML is typed in lowercase except for the doc type. It's exclamation, doc type, HTML. That's going to be at the top of every single HTML document. There's probably a few other things that we should include, but I'm going to leave out for now, mainly because this is a crash course and I'm not going to be assessing you on your HTML, but on your ability to actually manage the information that we'll be looking at later on. Second thing we're going to do is add a title to the page, and I think we called this Awesome HTML5 Web Page. Technically, web page is 2 words. If you've got spell checker, it will constantly try to correct it. Now, you may notice it's all white at the moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to find a place to save this. Schoolwork, Year 12, 2.41. I'm just going to call this video example. And down here I'm going to make sure I save it as a hypertext markup language file, or HTML. You can just type in .html, but it's best to change it like that. Video example.html, save. Now get some color on it. By default your color is probably going to look like this. Yeah, I'm not sure why mine's black. I think I must have changed it. It might look... You can select any one of these styles here. And I like the obsidian one. So to get to there, it was Settings, Preferences. Sorry, not Preferences. Settings, Style Configurator. And then we've got all these different settings here. That's actually quite an easy one on the eye, so I might use that. After this, we have got to add in something called HTML tags. And this just tells us it's an HTML document. In the tutorial, I left this bit out. So it will still work without it, but there may be some things in some browsers that don't display. So for now, we're just going to put it in. And I'm going to leave a few lines and hit enter and just put the closing tag in so I don't forget it later. Now what is really good practice here, and I didn't write about it in the tutorials, but you could see it, is that you hit tab whenever you are working inside another set of tags. So then we're going to put in the head. I'm just going to leave a few lines and close that off. And then the body, leave a few lines and close that off. I don't actually need this line here. So what I've got is HTML and its closing tag, head and its closing tag, body and its closing tag. So this here says this is the entire HTML document. This here is the entire head. Whatever goes in here is the head of the document. And that's just, it's information stuff really. It's nothing that the user actually sees. You can leave this bit out and still have the body. The page will work. Technically it's not done correctly though. And this is the body. This is what the user sees. So that's where we're going to put in our headers and titles and all kinds of things. Generally, head and headers are different. So if I refer to the head of a web page, I'm talking about this bit here. And the header might be a big title or something, but that will go in the body. In the head, once again, tab in. We're going to put some metadata in there. And this is just information about the information that's on the page. So we're going to go meta name equals description, content equals an awesome page I built. I'm just not going to fill out the whole thing. Close tags. You have to make sure that you do open and close all the chevrons. Now, some things don't actually need to have an opening and closing tag, so I don't need to go like that. For most tags you will, and unless I specifically say you don't, you'll generally need to. So here we go, meta name equals author, content equals Mr. Smith. Now what these two meta tags do is a web browser will come along and it knows to look for meta description and meta author in order to I guess, log what that page is about. So if I was to search this and it was on the internet, the description would come up as that and the author would come up as that. For most people though, it's not going to affect it. So let's go into the body. We're going to create a header now. It's different to the head. This is header 1. I'm going to call it a submission form. Essentially what we're going to be doing with these tutorials is making a form that we can fill some information in on, hit submit. After we've done that, we're going to style it a little bit, make it look a bit better. And then after we've done that, we're going to look at actually taking the information from that form and putting it into a database using a programming language called PHP and a database language called SQL. So there's quite a bit to cover in this first unit of work. Next one is P. And we're just going to write something here, complete the form and push place order when finished to confirm your order. And P. You may notice there that I just hit enter in the middle of the line, so it goes down to here, and there's this big gap there, and you'll see that that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. I can do that, I could do this as well, and you'll see what happens when I actually view the page. Now this next one is a href equals, and then the place that I want it to go to. So I'm just going to send it to Google this time because I don't actually have a website here to go to. And I close that tag. Now that's the opening tag. The A stands for active, and it's going to make this an active piece of text or something that I can click on. I'm going to say click here for our terms and conditions. And then I'm going to end that A. Everything in between here and here, or these two tags, Notepad++ is quite cool. You can click on stuff, it will highlight the opening and closing tags for you, like that. So I can see there's the opening tag. Makes it quite handy, and I'll show you a few other cool things as well in a moment. So once I do this, I'm going to save this. And what this means is anything in between these two tags is going to have a link on it. So I'm going to preview this, run, launching Chrome. And I'll just minimize, make this shrink down a bit and bring it over. This is what the website here now looks like. So submission form, that's H1. So it's big and chunky, it kind of looks ugly at the moment. We can sort that out later on. Then we've got this paragraph here, complete the form and push place order when finished to confirm your order. And then we've got this active link, which if I click it, it will take me to Google. And it does, it works. So that's what we've done so far. The only thing that I added in this video tutorial was the HTML tags, which I'd like you to put in. Make sure that you are tabbing things, because if everything looks like this, it's really hard to see what on earth is going on and where stuff is meant to be contained within. So make sure you're hitting that tab key and tabbing things out within bodies. Sorry, within tags. Now, Notepad++ is really cool. Say I want to hide the head. I don't need to see it anymore. On the left-hand side here, I've got this little minus button. I can just hide it, close it up. I can close up the body, or I've finished with this paragraph. Let's close the paragraph up. I've finished with the text. I've closed the hyperlink. I've closed it up. It still shows me the first line, but any lines under that just hides them. That's a really cool little feature, especially when you start getting into big areas and you've done part of it. You've done a massive area or a table or something. You just want to hide it so you don't see it. Really cool for that. Can hide the entire page as well. So that's there. Now, one thing I did say was these were on separate lines with big gaps between them. But when I actually view the page, you'll see it just ignores all that extra space. It just ignores it all. There is one tag which I don't recommend using, but if you do need it, it's called pre. And if I refresh this page, it will take into consideration that weird formatting that you've added. It'll make it look exactly like it does here. Okay, so it completes the form, and then it's got all this space here and here. It can be useful at times, but I don't recommend using it. I guess it's useful if you're making a poem or something and you want to format everything and have spaces all over the place, but generally you won't want to do that. You just want to use paragraph tags. And also you won't be working with such a small resolution that you can't fit everything on a line. So generally I would work with a much higher resolution and be able to see things a lot better. So make sure you get that done. At the end of the tutorial there was a task. Add another header somewhere. Doesn't matter, maybe add it under here. Make sure it's inside the body though. Add another 2 paragraphs. They can say anything you want. And add another link. Maybe add a link to steampowered.com or some website that you like to visit. Make sure it's suitable for school. And check to make sure that that works. You will need to make sure that you include the http:// for the website. There is a reason for that which I'll go into in more detail later on. But for now, you won't be able to do it or make a link work unless you include that to go to another website.